Hey guys, welcome back to Vinceville Custom. So today I'm sharing with you an ARH Arhian custom statue. Hopefully I said the name right. If I butchered the name, I apologize. I'm never really good with this stuff, but this was a really cool item. It was one of my first ARH statues I got to work on. You can pretty much see what we did is we added some arrows to the shield. We added this Conan letter opener to her, which makes the statue even more badass now. These are one of those like really big and expensive Conan letter openers. They're like around 150, but we'll kind of get a little bit closer and I'll show you guys what I did with that. For this video I'm going to stop and go back and forth with some stuff because we got to kind of block out here for YouTube video stuff, but if it goes on DTube I won't have it blocked off. But really good statue. Like I said, there was a couple things wrong with it as far as like casting and some of the factory paint up work, but once we got through that, it's a really good statue. I remember when this statue first came out, I was interested in getting it, but just things didn't work out that well, but at least I got to work on one. Really cool. So we'll get a little bit closer, we'll break it all down and go from there. Okay, for as far as the sword, like I said, this is the Conan letter opener, and what I did was I took out the old handle of the sword and I put a metal rod in there, and then from that metal rod what I did was I grinded out the handle on this piece here. So now it's a really nice flush piece that goes in there. It's not magnetized or anything, but it goes in really well. The way I set it up was there's this little marking here. This is the side that it goes on. I think if you have it set up where the Conan, it doesn't line up correctly, just, you know, because it's a letter opener, but, you know, I think it worked out pretty cool. So that's pretty much there. So we'll go downwards and then we'll come into the face afterwards because of this whole YouTube stuff. So as far as down here, you can pretty much see, I didn't touch the dagger because the dagger goes in no problem. As far as, you know, everything else, it worked out pretty cool. Now, what we did is we did a Norwegian type, you know, skin tone. You know, they said they wanted Norwegian, and I did some, like, you know, looking up some skin tone. So we kind of did some new type of skin tone for this one. And then I brought out the leather more on all these pieces. I tried to bring out a lot of the stitching, you know, a lot of the stitching around in here and stuff. Also down around in the boots. I brought out the, you know, the fur a little bit more. The gold is a whole new gold. It's I forget the name of the company I used, but I tried some new gold. I really like the way it came out. Client likes it too. So and then I did some, like, you know, washing in there between there to kind of like darken up and bring out some of the armor as well in there. When I worked on the statue when I first got it, there was a couple issues here and there. So over here there was a huge gap here, and then there was another kind of a gap around here. I guess the factory didn't line these up correctly, so what I had to do is I had to fill in all that stuff there because the client didn't really like all that showing. So also a lot of bleeding was going on from the factory from here, so there was like all the stuff around in here, around there, around the gloves, up around the shoulder pads. We'll get up there later. And even in here there was a lot of caked up like resin that was in between these legs. Well, the knees and the thigh area here. So what I had to do is I went in with like my tools and I kind of chiseled out and sanded that down as much as I could. I cleaned it up as best as possible. It was just some casting errors here and there. There was a major casting error on the boots over in here. So what I had to do is I had to kind of sand it down, toy with it, and then I had to do some paint work to kind of blend it all in. But sadly, I lost some detail around in there with the boots because it was a really major casting area. And then I found out too, as I started painting up the skin tone, there was a casting error over, was it this? But no, it was this one over here. So there was a casting error around here, so I had to kind of sand some of this down and fix some of that around in there. Because what it was is it looked like it was casted and it was filled in with some putty or something. I don't really know. As far as the base goes, like I said, they gave me some of these arrows, so what I did is I drilled in some holes. This one's a little bit loose, but it goes in there fairly well because it's up high. But the other ones are kind of tight and they kind of fit in there. I told the client, I said, we'll keep them loose for now, but if they start falling off down the line, what I'll have to do is I'll have to put like a drop of glue because that's the only way we can get them to really stay in. But right now they're working out pretty good. There was also an ARH logo right here, so he wanted me to pop that out and recreate this rock, so I recreated this rock. And then what I did is I brought out all the rocks a little bit more. I did some dry brushing, I added darkness into all these cracks and all that stuff, you know, just bring it out a little bit more. Added some greens, some browns, just to make it pop a little bit more, give it a little more life. So we're going to go up high. We'll stop the video. Like I said, I'm still kind of learning how to edit stuff, so we want to make sure that we cover stuff up top. Okay, so here's the front of her. And forgive me for not rotating or going crazy with the camera to show you guys everything, only because on YouTube I got to blur out, you know, her topless. For DTube and Steam It, what I will do is I'll leave a not safe for work version on there so you can actually see it without the blurring and everything. But, you know, so... what we did is we cleaned up the hair up here. There was a little piece coming over there, so we took out that little piece. I broke it out and I resculpted the hair. And underneath this part over here, there was like a gap, and it looked like the hair went back really far, and it looked like she was wearing some kind of like wig. So what I did is I filled it in there just to give her some volume. Once that was done, it was, you know, we got the hair fixed up. We did the sword. And then what we did is the shield and the base. Now, she does come with a bra. And the problem is they're magnetized into her chest. Now, the one that the client gave me, it was sitting very low and it didn't really cover anything up. I don't know if that was originally the design or if it was supposed to cover stuff up, but it was really low. So the client decided, you know what, he doesn't even really want it on anyway. So we took the bra off. And then I took off the strap on the back, and I filled in the back with some Aves. So now she's just topless, and I think it looks really good. Like I said, I don't know who this character is, but she looks like a really cool barbarian chick, like you might have seen in like heavy metal books or something like that. Now, so pretty much once we got through all that, you know, so let's get a little bit closer. Hopefully, I can edit all that stuff too. There we go. So. Basically, for the skin tone, I used Garage Flesh Tones, but I mixed in some other brands, and I kind of came up with a different base because we wanted to go with a different type of skin tone. So I mixed up all this, and it came out really cool, and I'm pretty happy with it. So we brought out the cheeks a little bit more. We'll kind of turn her a little bit. So we brought out the cheeks a little bit. I did some little blushing in there, not very heavy. A little bit of eyeshadow, not much. And I kind of followed the way ARH had it because the client wanted to kind of go close, but kind of let me do my own thing. The lips are kind of like a flesh tone. They're not really like bright red lipstick, or they're not like too natural. This kind of follow the little bit of like her darker areas on her body. I used that for like the lips, so that's kind of what we came up with there. The hair is kind of a platinum blonde. The original hair that came with it was almost like a, I guess you could say almost like a whitish platinum blonde in a way. And it just was very almost old lady looking, I guess, in something. So the client wanted me to go more platinum blonde. So it's kind of an unbleached titanium white with a hint of yellow, some burnt umbers and stuff like that. And I kind of toned it all down again. So it kind of works out pretty good. The skin tone almost kind of feels like it's like got a tan to it now. And the hair kind of really brings it out a little bit more. So... like I said, there was a strap going over here that was glued in, so I took that off and I filled in those areas there. And then once that was done, it was just a matter of getting it done and putting it all together. Really cool statue. Like I said, I had a lot of fun working on it. First ARH, but it was just a lot of factory defects. You know, like the legs weren't completely flush, a lot of like over bleeding with paint, some very nasty crud stuff over here with the armor, with the knees. But once I got past all that, it was really cleaned up and ready to go. Like I said, as far as the sword goes, you know, it worked out pretty good. I think the client's really happy with it. It is removable now, so you can pretty much see. What I had to do was, I was going to try to paint this like the armor, but it was kind of cool just to leave it as is. I think it just looks badass. No blood, nothing like that. The client wanted it nice and clean too. But, you know, so I mean, pretty cool. Really cool statue. So let's try to get a little bit further in the front so you guys can see everything. Kind of back up a little bit. And hopefully I can blur all this stuff out and start learning how to do it. But really cool. Glad to actually work on an ARH statue finally. Had a lot of fun with this one. And hopefully we'll get some more down the line. But thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.